Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Joe.
And today we're talking about something that, really disturbed me when I first read this. I've never heard about how we get down for our coats and our blankets and things that keep us warm. Did you know about this before, Joe?
I did not know about this actually before. I just assumed, in my jacket or in my blankets or my pillows, the feathers that were inside were taken in a humane way. Or in a way that does not cause suffering to the animal. But as we're going to learn in the article today, that is absolutely not the case.
I know. Joe and I have mutual friends. Mutual friends just means we have the same friends. And a lot of them are vegetarians.
Yes.
Because they love animals. Mm-hmm. I love animals, but I do eat meat. But after reading this article, I thought, wow, this might stop me from buying future down products unless I knew the company was treating those animals fairly, humanely, as you said. I assumed their feathers were plucked out after they were killed, after they died. To be plucked out while they're alive, ouch.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly painful and
horrible.
Not kind at all to the animals.
Okay, let's get started, guys. We're going to read through our article first, and then we'll be back to talk about some of these terms.
As temperatures drop, people are bundling up, often in thick down jackets. Yet, what many people don't know is that the very material keeping them warm is in fact a product of animal cruelty. In order to acquire the feathers for down jackets, as well as down comforters and sleeping bags, farmers frequently live pluck geese, a bloody and brutal practice in which feathers are ripped from the struggling creature's flesh by the handful. They do so because when the geese grow new feathers, they can re-pluck them, which allows goose farms to cut costs. According to animal rights groups, this practice accounts for 50 to 80% of all down used. The global down industry includes operations ranging from Chinese factories to subsistence farms in Hungary, some of which raise the animals in abusive conditions for meat or foie gras and live pluck them to boost profits. The collected feathers are then sold to suppliers, who in turn sell quantities of them to outdoor companies. In recent years, these outdoor companies have faced enormous pressure from animal rights organizations. In response, some brands have introduced new standards to ensure that the down they use comes from humanely treated geese. Patagonia, for example, now abides by a traceable down standard. This certification, implemented in 2014, assures customers that the company's products are socially responsible. Today, 100% of the company's down comes from geese that are adequately cared for, aren't force-fed, have lots of space to feed and lay eggs, and are plucked only after they're slaughtered. Next time you are purchasing a down-related product, be sure to buy it from companies using cruelty-free regulations. This could help popularize a widespread adoption of humane treatments of geese in the market.
Okay, guys, let's get started on our article about live plucking. Plucking, I used to think about plucking when I played the violin. If you play a musical instrument with strings, sometimes you can use your finger and pull that string, and that's plucking the string. Do you play the guitar?
Yeah, I play the guitar a little bit, and it's the same thing. You pluck the strings with your fingers, if you're playing with your fingers, and not a pick, which is the little piece of plastic that they use. Right. But yes, that's plucking as well.
Well, here we're talking about taking your hands or some sort of tool and pulling feathers out of a bird. And here we're talking about geese because we're talking about their feathers, which we refer to as down. If you've ever bought a pillow that's a down pillow, you know they're very soft. Or if you've had a jacket that's really warm, they're very popular, especially in colder countries like where Joe's from. He's Canadian, and it's really cold there in the winter. If you don't have a down jacket, I don't know how you stay warm.
You stay indoors is how you stay warm. You don't go outside. But if you do go outside, you do something which we see in the first sentence here. It says, as temperatures drop, which means as it gets colder, people are bundling up. Bundling up means you are wearing lots of warm clothes. As Stephanie said, where I'm from, it gets down to minus 30, minus 40 degrees regularly, all the time. So you bundle up. You put on a lot of layers. You might have some long underwear on, and then you put some nice warm pants on over top of that, and then you put some ski pants or snow pants on top of that, a down jacket. A hoodie, you put everything on that you can.
Put all your clothes that you have in the closet on.
Pretty much. And then everybody looks like they're overweight. Even if they're not. You can be very, very skinny, and then in winter, everybody just looks huge. Because they're bundled up.
So in essence, or in other words, you could just eat what you want. It doesn't matter. Everybody looks fat.
And we do. Everybody puts on at least 10 to 20 pounds in the wintertime. Winter weight.
Winter weight. Well, what many people don't know about these down feathers that are put into our pillows and our jackets and blankets is that the very material keeping them warm is in fact a product of animal cruelty. If you're cruel to someone or something like an animal, it means you're doing something to hurt them that causes them a lot of pain. It could be mental cruelty. If you tell somebody, oh, you're fat, you're stupid, you're ugly, that's cruelty. But that's mental cruelty. This is actually physical cruelty. You're causing these poor animals lots of pain.
And we also saw the word material. Material is just something that other things are made out of. So here we're talking about down, which is a material that we use to put inside, as we said, jackets, pillows, comforters, blankets, basically things that keep you warm, or something that you would sleep on because it's very, very soft.
Yeah.
And it also can keep you warm in the wintertime. Now, in order to acquire the feathers for down jackets, as well as down comforters and sleeping bags, farmers frequently live pluck geese, a bloody and brutal practice in which feathers are ripped from the struggling creature's flesh by the handful. Okay, a very long sentence here.
Yeah.
But we see the vocabulary word first, acquire. Acquire just means to get something, to go and get something that you need in order to do something else. We often talk about acquiring materials in order to make something. So acquiring the feathers here for down jackets. So they have to get them somehow. Both Stephanie and I assumed that these birds that were providing the feathers were dead already.
Yeah.
Because, that would hurt. Think about, even just if you have, a hair, on your arm or something, and you pluck out the hair. That hurts. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good. Feathers are a lot bigger, and they have, kind of a root that's very thick that goes into the animal's skin. So that would be very painful, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's probably about 2,000 times more painful than plucking out a hair from our bodies. So this is something that's considered brutal. If you're brutal, you are very cruel and you'll do whatever it takes. You don't care about other people's pain. I would say that also counts for being brutal. So you're cruel, you're violent. And here we're seeing that they just grab their feathers and they rip them out by the handful. They don't take one at a time. They take several at a time by the handful. And if you rip something out, you pull it, you jerk it with a lot of strength.
It's very forceful. It's not kind, it's not gentle, and they're doing it by the handful, so they're just taking as many feathers as they can fit into their hand and basically just yanking them out, pulling them out as hard as they can.
Yeah.
Now, they do so because when the geese grow new feathers, they can re-pluck them, which allows goose farms to cut costs. So, as with many things, this is all about money, it seems. The geese, they can pluck the feathers out, they grow new feathers again, and then they can just do it again. We see re-pluck, this suffix, or prefix, re, means to do something again. So they're going to re-pluck, take the feathers out again. And of course, this allows the goose farms to cut costs because they can just keep doing this to these birds again and again and again. They don't have to raise new birds. So these geese, it seems, might lead quite miserable lives.
Yeah, they suffer for many, many years. That's terrible. So I didn't even know that they could regrow their feathers, but it makes sense. So they're doing this to cut costs. Before we go on, I should mention goose is the singular form of the word geese. Geese is the plural form, right?
So that's right.
We
don't say gooses. We don't say gooses.
No, can't say gooses. You have to say geese. But we do say ducks.
That's true.
They're a similar animal, but not quite the same. So according to animal rights groups, which we know exist, they're there to protect animals. This practice accounts for 50 to 80% of all down used. I really had no idea about this. It's kind of awful to read. I was horrified when I read this. I felt so bad for these little birds. Now, if you account for something, it means it makes up. So this practice makes up or is responsible, you could also say, for 50 to 80% of all down used. Now, this leads me to believe that there are some good companies out there that don't engage or participate in this kind of practice to get those feathers from those geese.
Yes, although it does seem like the odds are quite high that if you own a down product, maybe the down was acquired in the cruel way. Hopefully, as Stephanie said, it's 50 to 80%, so it means that not all the companies are doing this.
Yeah. Well, the global down industry includes operations ranging from Chinese factories to subsistence farms in Hungary, some of which raise the animals in abusive conditions. For meat or foie gras, which is a very expensive food. That's a French term right there.
And goose liver.
Yeah, goose liver. And live pluck them to boost profits. It's kind of a long sentence. So if you have an operation, especially business operation, it just means those are those activities that you do on a daily basis to produce your product or your service to make money. And these different operations are not the same. They range from, here's a sample, Chinese factories to these subsistence farms in Hungary. Do you know what a subsistence farm is?
A subsistence farm is a farm where the people working on it, they're not really making money. They're just raising animals or crops so they can have something to eat, basically. So they're very poor, in other words. So they're probably raising birds mostly to eat and maybe just plucking the feathers to make a little bit of money so they can buy enough food and have enough things to eat and a place to live. So when you see the word subsistence farm, it usually means the farmers are quite poor.
They're not out there trying to make $1 million by what they're doing. They're just trying to get through life. Well, if you're talking about abusive conditions would be any sort of situation that is horrible for the person in it. It could be painful, mentally, physically, emotionally. If you're abusive to your friends, you might call them names and treat them badly. Here we're talking about the animals being in horrible conditions where they experience a lot of cruelty. Now, Joe mentioned that foie gras, foie gras is French for the goose's liver. And what they do, I learned about this a couple of years ago because I thought, ooh, foie gras sounds really yummy because I watch cooking shows and they always talk about how great it is. But what they do is they stuff grain down that goose's neck until he wants to just explode.
They're force-fed.
Force-fed, yeah. That's the term, force-fed. And it's pretty awful to watch how this happens. And then they're also live plucked, which we've been talking about, to boost profits. Boost means to increase or push up.
So it's all about money again in all these situations. It's just people trying to make as much money as they possibly can.
Yeah. Well, the collected feathers are then sold to suppliers. A supplier is somebody who furnishes materials for people who are making some sort of good. So he's supplying their materials. We talked about material earlier, who in turn sells quantities to them or quantities of them to these outdoor companies like Patagonia. We're going to talk about Patagonia after the break, guys. But right now we're going to take a time out, listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tina. 我们今天首先来看到文章第一段的第二个句子写着 Yet, what many people don't know is that the very material blank one, then warm, is in fact a product of animal cruelty. 好，那么我们这个句子呢，就从中间的 that 开始看。that 的作用呢，连接的是一个子句，主词是 the very material， 而空格一可以开始刮号，刮到呢 warm 这个字来修饰前面的名词 material。这种材质呢，事实上是一种那么透过虐待动物而来的产品，所以我们在这里来叙述一下产品这种的作用呢，这种材质就是使得我们可以保暖，所以它是从 the very material which keeps them warm， 那么把 which 去掉， keeps 改成 keeping， 就是我们今天第一题的标准答案，选择 B keeping。接着第二个空格在这里提到的呢，这些呢饲养这些动物的农夫 farmers frequently live plug geese, a bloody and brutal practice. Blank 2, feathers are ripped from the struggling creature's flesh by the handful.在这里要看到的 farmers 指的是农场主人，常常用的是一种活拔鹅毛的方式，我们用了 live plug 这个动词。补充说明它是 a bloody and brutal practice。 practice 在这里用来当作名词，解释成为是一种做法，一种习惯，而用这样子的做法呢，羽毛就活生生的呢被拔了下来。所以我们搭配呢这里的句型的要素，第二题的标准答案选择是 D in which 指的呢就是 in the practice， 用这样子的做法来叙述整个过程。接下来我们看到第三个空格的句子， The global down industry includes operations ranging from Chinese factories to subsistence farms in Hungary。 在这里提到呢，这样子的农场呢，其实从中国的工厂到匈牙利的自己农场，而其中Blank 3 raise the animals in abusive conditions， 他们都用一种呢虐待动物的方式来饲养这些动物。有没有注意到第三个空格前面打上逗号，前面已经是一个完整的句子，而后面第三个空格接的是动词的 raise， 很明显前后都是完整的句子，而两个句子当中要有连接词跟主词，在这种情况底下呢，我们就可以选择 A 选项 some of which， 也就是代表的是呢and some of the farms or factories。 所以第三题的标准答案就选择 A 选项。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're going to continue talking about live plucking, the dark side of down. The dark side of something just means the part that you don't want to talk about. It could be scary or evil, just something that's not very happy or pleasant. Talking about these geese, which is the plural form of goose, remember, they're actually live plucked. So someone takes that geese or goose, holds on to him, and then takes their hand and just grabs bunches of feathers and pulls them out or yanks them out. That's another verb, yank, by the handful. And we're finding out that quite a few companies actually participate in this practice. 50 to 80% of all down that is used comes from these live plucked goose or geese, which is horrible.
Yes, it's a very painful practice for the animals and very cruel and brutal as well. Now, in recent years, these outdoor companies, the companies that are buying the down from everything from these Chinese factories to subsistence farms and things like that, they have faced enormous pressure from animal rights organizations. Enormous just means huge, a very large amount or quantity of something. So there are animal rights organizations. One of the most famous ones, of course, would be PETA, P-E-T-A,
right.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of pressure on companies that mistreat animals. For example, cosmetics companies that make makeup, they would tell them not to test their products on animals because it can be very cruel. They would put pressure on factory farms where animals are treated cruelly. And they're also putting a lot of pressure on companies that are doing this or buying down from places that do live plucking. They're saying you shouldn't do this because animals have rights, and they at least have the right to not lead a miserable life and to not suffer in their lives.
Yeah, for sure. Now, it says here, some brands, some of these outdoor companies, we have a lot of them here in Taiwan, I've noticed on certain streets. Joe and I live in Taipei, so on Xini Lu, you can see Xini Road, you can see a lot of these outdoor companies that are selling jackets and things to go hiking, camping. Well, some of these brands have introduced new standards to ensure that the down they use comes from humanely treated geese. If you treat someone humanely, you treat them as you would someone who's a human, someone that deserves to be treated like a human being. We treat our animals humanely, hopefully, that we have at home, our pets. If you treat somebody a certain way, that's how you act towards them. The words you say, the things that you do for them, or, just the way we're generally treating our family, friends, people that we work with.
Now, here's an example of one of these good companies.
Yeah.
Patagonia, for example, now abides by a traceable down standard. If you abide by something, it means you follow a rule or a regulation. You just follow the rules, basically.
You
obey the rules. And what they abide by is a traceable down standard. So traceable means you can follow something to its source. You can know exactly where it came from. So if you're buying down, it just means they know exactly which farm they bought it from, and they know that farm treats their animals well and things like that. They know they didn't get it from a place that partakes in or takes part in live plucking.
Good. Well, that's something that is helpful to know. Now, you have to go through a certification process if you're one of these companies, which means there's some sort of agency that gives you standards that you have to follow. And if you pass all those standards, then you get a certificate. That's the certification process. They implemented this in 2014. If you implement something, you put it into practice. So you start using that particular method or practice. And this assures or makes customers confident, feel good about the company's products that they're buying from. It helps them know that that company is socially responsible, that they are doing all they can to treat the geese humanely that they're using or that they're using for the feathers. I wanted to point out, remember, guys, this humanely is human with an E on the end. It's not humanly, which is also a word. So be careful. Humanely means to treat something well as you would another human being.
Now, today, 100% of the company's down comes from geese that are adequately cared for, aren't force-fed, have lots of space to feed and lay eggs, and are plucked only after they're slaughtered. So all of it, 100% of the company's down, comes from these geese that are adequately cared for. Adequately just means it's up to a certain standard. It means they're well cared for. They're not mistreated. They're not force-fed. That's what we mentioned. That's how you get foie gras, is these geese actually have food forced down their throats so they can make the liver fat.
Yeah.
It can get fat, and that's what makes it actually taste good. So
it
tastes good, but it's an incredibly cruel dish. So a lot of people will not order it, and some restaurants refuse to serve it. They also have lots of space to feed and lay eggs, lots of room. And the feathers are plucked only after they're slaughtered. When an animal is slaughtered, it is killed. We don't usually use the word slaughtered in reference to humans unless we're talking about war, in which a lot of people are killed.
Or some of these terrorist incidents,
Yes.
like the one in Nice, France, where he ran over 84 people. We would say he slaughtered them.
Yes, when people are killed in a particularly cruel and when they're killed in large groups or large numbers, then we say slaughtered. But usually slaughtered refers to animals.
True. When they're slaughtered for their meat or something that they produce that we eat. Now, next time you are purchasing a down-related product, be sure to buy it from companies using cruelty-free regulations. Regulations are rules that you should follow. If you don't follow regulations, they won't arrest you and put you in prison. Those are laws. These are regulations. They're a little different. And if you purchase something, it's just another word for buy that you'll want to use sometimes so that you can not just use buy all the time. You could say purchase. We use it more when we write than when we talk, perhaps, too.
Now, this could help popularize a widespread adoption of humane treatments of geese in the market. Adoption here just means people starting to do something or to take part in a certain practice. So if everybody starts buying cruelty-free down, then more and more people will take that up as well.
Yeah. Hopefully we see that happen because this is pretty awful. And as humans, we need to make sure we are treating animals as well as we can.
Absolutely.
Right now, guys, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
这样残忍虐待动物的过程会造成现在有怎么样的情形呢？在第4个空格的句子写着 In recent years, these outdoor companies have faced enormous blank for from animal rights organizations. 这些户外用品公司呢，针对这些来自于动物权利团体，当然就遭受到很大的压力咯。第4题 A.Passion 热情 B. Pressure 压力 C. Penalty 罚则 D. Production 生产。根据文意，第4题我们就选择 B. Pressure。接着第5个空格，所以开始了有一种认证的过程。在第5个空格前面提到 This certification implemented in 2014 assures customers that the company's products are socially blank 5. 这样子的认证呢，可以向顾客保证公司所生产的产品是在社会上怎么样的呢？第5题 A. Commercial 商业行为的 B. Miserable悲惨的 C. Responsible 负责任的 D. Essential 重要的。这样的认证就保证给这些顾客说我们的产品是有负社会责任的，所以第5题搭配文意就选择 C 选项 Responsible。接着后面句子提到Today, 100% of the company's down comes from geese that. 在 that 后面接了许多的动词片语，我们直接看到第6个空格后面提到are plugged blank 6. They are slaughtered. 而这些呢，鹅身上的毛呢，100%保证是再怎么样被拔毛的。我们来看一下文意，第6题 A. Even though 尽管 B. Ever since 自从 C. So that 为了 D. Only after 只在什么之后。当然为了动物了着想呢，要在它们被杀了之后才可以拔毛，所以根据文意，第6个空格就选择 D. Only after。第7个空格的句子写着 This could help blank 7 a widespread adoption of humane treatments of geese in the market. 如果可以人道的对待它们，而我们也买这样子公司的产品，就可以帮忙呢来普及甚至宣传这样子人道的对待动物。所以第7个搭配文意呢 A. Popularize 就是有普及宣传的意思，是正确答案。B 选项 convince 说服 C investigate 调查 D determine 决定都不符合文意。 OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
Thanks for joining us, guys. We hope you learned a lot more about live plucking. Be on the lookout for that and try to support the companies that are treating these animals humanely. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Joe.
Bye.
Goodbye.